Okay, so in this video we're going to start creating our modular control class for which all these little mini game panels are going to inherit from. And first off, I'm going to just, I don't know why this didn't bug me before, but I'm going to realign this to the left so that our objects fill in from the left instead of from the center. And I'm going to start creating a script here just so that it's in our scripts folder. So I'm going to make this a modular control script. I'm going to double click that and reload. That's fine. So let's think about just make that a little bit smaller. Everything that this this class is going to need. So any sort of panel, what are they going to need? So one, we're going to need every one of these classes should have some sort of objective. So if this is the mini game that's active, then there's a certain objective that we need to fill, like we need to type in the right numbers or do some sort of correct action. So we have an objective. We also, I mentioned that this isn't active all the time. Like the objective isn't active all the time. So we need some like a bool to say if it's the active objective. So do is active objective bool, or we'll say, since this is a check if active objective. All right, and then most of these, either the time is going to run out or you're going to do some sort of action, like you're going to input the wrong number for our channel. It's going to have some sort of state where we fail the objective. So objective, and we either failed it or control paste, or we won this one. So objective complete or cleared. Also, so since this isn't always the active objective, we should have a way of making it the active objective. So let's say that we will set this objective to be the active one. Then let's also think about what happens on each of these. So we have states. If it's an active objective, we're going to do something. Probably not. It's probably going to be different depending on what the panel is. So it'll probably be in the inherited members and not in this. So a state when it's active, a state when we've failed, and a state when we've cleared. And if you go back to the video I showed or introducing this project, I wanted to make anytime you did the correct action, you would see some sort of animation on this screen. So that's something else that we're going to need for when the objective is cleared. We need a screen that would display the screen, a screen animation. We'll also send messages to the game manager. So tell game manager that we've cleared the objective. Same with when we have failed the objective. We want the game manager to handle basically anything the old lady does, and if we pop up a game over screen, or if we have a tally for how many times we've won and we need to move on to the next objective, and that the game manager will handle that. Finally, after anything has happened, after we've done the objective, we sort of want to reset anything that we've done that needs resetting, to sort of wipe it clean, do a clean slate. So we'll do a like a reset function or something like that. So let me organize this into, it's probably a reset function. We'll probably have a function where we display function where we cleared, where we failed, and then we'll have a bool up here. So we'll do bool is active objective. We'll say that's false to start. And what else do we need? We need to set the objective to be the active one, so that will be a function. And then the objective itself, that'll be determined in the inherited members. So I think we're safe to delete that right now. Yeah, so if there's an objective, then it can either be active and you haven't failed or cleared it, or it could be cleared and it could be failed. So that sort of, these three functions cover everything we want in an objective. So and then check if it's active objective. So we just need to remind ourselves in these other functions to just not do certain things if it's not the active one. All right, so let's get started. For this, we don't need any sort of update, but we will need to initialize a lot of things. Let's think what else we need. So we said we're going to display some sort of animation, and how am I going to do that? So the method that I came up with was that we would have a public game object. I'll make that public. And we can call it maybe telly windscreen. I'm not naming things TV because it kind of screws with my camel case, which is like lowercase and then uppercase, so like TV win, but T and V should sort of be capitalized. So whatever, I'll keep consistent with our project name and call TV telly every time. All right, and then what else happens? So anytime we have an objective, a new objective, the old lady is going to tell us something, basically what we need to do, or hint at what we need to do at least. So we should have some sort of string or public string that is whatever our message is going to be that she's going to tell us. So we're going to basically tell the game manager to tell us this this message, right? Or not the game manager, we can just like directly link to whatever our UI text is when we make that. So we will do objective message. And then, like I said before, we're going to have to talk with the game manager, but we'll just find that by name. So we can do that when we initialize. All right, and then anything else? Oh, I did mention with the objective message that we can link directly to our UI and then tell it what to do. So we can say we can link to a public text. Nope, text isn't going to show up because I need to add a line up here that says we're going to use the Unity engine UI. And now we get text, so we can have a public text, and we want the objective text. And there's one more that we, like the inherited members don't necessarily have to manipulate, but I think it'd be useful to have in this class anyways, is that sometimes when you're doing things like, for instance, changing or inputting numbers for the channel, you want the TV to have some sort of feedback. It's like you've currently typed in 25 if you're trying to get to channel 256 or something like that. So I'm going to do another text where it's going to be keeping consistent, telly text. All right, so these things some of these we don't have to keep public, so probably this one. For now, this one we definitely want public. The string objective message, just to see that it's working, we'll keep this public for now. But for these objects, we should initialize them in our start function. So for our game manager, I'm going to go ahead and find a game object, and that game object will be called game manager. And since I've named it that, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that the game manager object, which I'm going to initialize to 0. Ooh, I can't type. And make sure that's spelled the same. And then we'll do this in a second. And then we can initialize these two. So objective text is going to, we could probably just do the same where we find an object. And since this is not a game object, we're actually talking about the UI element. We're going to get a component, and we'll get the text from that game object. I'm going to copy and paste because I want to do the same thing with the teletext. And then when we start, we want this to be initialized to like be clear. So both of these can be show nothing until we want it to show something. Objective text dot text. There we go. All right. Before we move on, it would be conducive for us to create the different texts that we're going to use for whatever the old lady is telling us. But we're going to do something a little bit different, because if I create a text right in our regular canvas, like this, if we test it out, make it like really huge. When we mess around with the screen resolution, I mean, right now we're simply focused on 1080 by 1920, but it's just a little bit weird to work with a canvas that isn't tied to the scene when we want the text to be specifically over a certain area. So I want the text to always show perfectly over the TV. I don't want it to be like overlap on the side or something like that, especially because we have a teletext, which is going to necessarily needs to be on the TV, and it'd be nice just to have the other text to be over the TV as well. That's where we can see it the best. So I am going to delete this text, and I'm going to create an entirely new canvas. And what I'm going to do with this new canvas is, if you look over here in the inspector, you can see that the screen, the default method is the render mode is screen space overlay. So what this means is that any sort of user interface is going to that we have in that canvas is going to appear over our scene how we want it. So no matter what we do in 3D space, this is always going to show in front of our camera. But there's other options as well. So there's a screen space camera. So if you have like multiple cameras or something that could be useful. And also WorldSpace, which we're going to use. And basically what this means is we're going to take, we can take this canvas and we can put it somewhere in 3D space so that it's not constantly over the camera. We can put it like on a billboard, or we can put it on a wall or something. So this is a way that we can utilize like 3D text if we wanted to. We can even like rotate it and make it somewhere in 3D space, position in 3D space, rotation in 3D space. So here's a little trick. I'm actually going to rename this so that we don't get confused about which one is which. So I'm going to call this World Canvas. And a little trick to sort of resize this. I want it to like match the size of the camera window in the scene. And a way that we can do that is we can make it screen space camera, and then here we can drag our main camera on top of that there. But then after that, see, it changes our sort of scale and dimensions, mostly our scale here. If we switch back to WorldSpace and we double click, it sort of matches our camera window without being attached to the camera screen space. So that's nice. So I'm going to reorganize this so that it's like Canvas and World Canvas are together there, and put the game manager up by our main on the very top. All right, so World Canvas, we're gonna create the text for these. I'm gonna create two of them. This one is going to be our objective text. Remember, we're finding this game object, so we got to make sure that we are calling it the same thing that we're searching for. And teletext. So this objective text is going to we need to change the position of this camera as well, because it's at 90 and we want it to be somewhere closer to our telly, like maybe right in front of our telly, 10 or something like that. Okay, is that gonna let me view it? All right, so this text, that's the teletext, and that's all right. And then I'm gonna bring this guy up as well. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna turn this canvas off here so that I can see a little bit better. I'm just going to move this window so that it matches the sort of space that I want this text to occur in. Yeah, and just to sort of be cleaner, I'm going to do -190. Position, that's good. And then a width of 580. It's about right. 250 height. I just like to have clean numbers. And this one I'm going to bring all the way down. Then 190. If we can get away with 900. 580 and height of 80. Okay. And these are going to both have different fonts. So this one is going to be the teletext here. I'm actually going to put that on top so that we can sort of associate it with which one's on top. Teletext is going to be, I'm going to use a dropper function to match this sort of green. And then the objective text is going to be this purple, like our top menu text. And it's going to have a font of Panaco. This one is going to be the weird display one. So I'm going to do this one is going to be a best fit. And I'm going to up the max size to something crazy like 400. That's fine. And then teletext is also, I don't know if we want best fit or maybe if we have like a specific 80 is too large, 40, no, maybe 32. Yeah, but then I don't want it to be right at the top. I want it to be aligned to the left. Actually, I'm going to come in just a little bit so that it's not maybe 560. And then come in a little bit this way too. Okay, 550 is even better. Cool. Alright, cool. To cap off this video, let's see if we can just see if we can get the text changing here from our modular control script. And what I'll do is, well, first I want to up this. I think it's better if this is more readable, so I'm just going to up it to 42, the font size. And then we will. Let's look at we can do the reset and the set objective so that we can change the objective text when we say this is the active objective, and then we can clear out everything once the objective is done. So let's do those two functions. So first let's do set objective, actually give me a second, forgot my headphones. So here we're going to create a void set objective, and we can create a void reset. And in set objective, we want to change. Oops, this is supposed to be teletext. So basically, we want to take these two and we want to change them into. Actually, we don't need the teletext. We just need to change the objective text to whatever our objective message is. So we can just copy and paste the objective message there. And additionally, whenever we set objective, we want to set the bool for what we check if if this is the active objective, we want to check and make sure that's true. So we'll say is active objective equals true. So that's it for our set objective. For our reset, we want to basically we want to do the same things we did up here. So we want to make sure that these things are being cleared out. Whenever we reset, we want the active objective to be false, because we've cleared it all out and we don't want to pay attention to anymore. So it's being reset, right? All right, and that'll be good for now for that. So just to check that our set objective works, I'm just going to do that from start, and then in our script, which I can just I can attach it to anything at this point. Let's attach it. Let's make sure our canvas is back on. We can attach it to our number pad. Modular control, and then we don't have a windscreen yet. Actually, I have a prefab that we're going to use for the animation for this victory, but we don't really need that quite yet. We're going to just focus on the objective message, and we'll just say something simple like change the channel, just to test it out. So now our objective message, when we hit start, it should call the function to change this objective text to our objective message. Let's see if it works. No, it didn't. So something's wrong. So it's this annoying thing. My shortcut for save isn't working, so I have to manually go up here and say save all. And now when I do that, we can see that it's working here. So that's just our test. So I'm going to just comment that out until we can test it before. See, that's my shortcut not working again. Next time we'll continue developing our class, and then maybe talk with the game manager a little bit and have this old lady animate and whatnot.